For many people, the natural next step after finishing school is to look towards university, or college as I think it's referred to in America. But is that always the best decision to make? I know it was the one that I chose to do, but looking back now, I wonder if I'd make the same decision again. I definitely learned a lot from university. I really enjoy learning and researching things, and I got to find out a lot of things that I wouldn't have discovered myself. But I think the idea of university can be a little bit hyped up sometimes. It was seen as the best thing to do once you leave school, especially if you've got good grades, then you must go to university. But we didn't really think about what came after that. I always assumed that I'd come out of university, get a good degree, and just fall into a job. But that wasn't exactly what happened. I think that's kind of what a lot of us are told, that if we get good grades and then we go to university, then a job's just going to fall in our lap after graduation date. But when you actually step out into the real world, you realise that that isn't really what happens. I know for me, having a degree hasn't exactly popped me higher up the level than anybody else around. I sort of wonder if it would make more sense if I'd done an apprenticeship instead, because at least I'd have a foot on the ladder by the age of 21 when I finished university, and then I'd actually be higher up than me coming out of university and starting there. Yes, there are lots of wonderful graduate schemes out there, but again, another area is have you even figured out what you want to do by the time you choose a degree? I know for me, like I've said before, I wanted to be a detective, and then since starting university I realised that that wasn't for me. I know I didn't need to do a degree to become a police officer, but it just seemed a sort of natural thing. Well, I should go to university because I've got good grades. I thought that that's what people do, they go to university. But looking back in hindsight, I'm not sure if that would have made the most sense, if that was the career path I wanted to go down. As it turns out, I've decided against that, but I wonder if it would have made more sense for me personally to have just entered the job market after 18, maybe even after 16, because I was able to at the time. I know the minimum age to leave school now is 18, but it was 16 for me. So whether it would have made more sense to have that little bit extra time to try out a couple of different job roles to see what I was interested in. Yes, I'd have had to start in a proper entry-level position. I wouldn't have been able to get a little bit of a foot up having A-levels or a degree or whatever. But I think with getting a degree, it makes more sense if it's in a specific job role, if you need a degree for that area. But at the same time, you can have a degree and then choose a job role that doesn't require a degree at all. It just requires experience, in which case you're stuck in the same boat as everybody else. You're starting a lot older than other people because you've had those extra 3 years of education, and you've got the concern of student debt on your head. When it was free, I think everybody should get a degree. It just makes the most sense. If it's free, why not do it? But for me, it costs £9,000 a year, plus the loans and extra things for books and living costs, etc. And then it's got interest each year. So that's a lot of money that weighs on people's heads, that sort of makes them feel that they have to do something related to their degree because they've spent so much time and money, in effect, on this thing. Would it take the pressure off slightly if many people hadn't have done a degree, if instead there was some kind of course that they could go on to just discover more about working life, to try different areas, to see, do they want to work in an office, do they want to work outside, do they want to work in something related to maths or to English or to whatever, rather than going along with, well, what are my interests as a child, and then pursuing what they think will be a good career path, but not actually knowing anything about whether it would be helpful or not. I think for me, I probably, if I go back now, I'm not sure that I would do a degree. I definitely enjoyed the learning part. I've learnt so many things that have absolutely fascinated me, but basing it solely on whether it's a good idea for a career, I don't know that I would have done a degree. Maybe I'd have done some kind of course in my spare time to learn some of the similar things that I have learnt. I know that a lot of the things that I learnt generally from a degree, having an aptitude for being able to write good essays, having good time management skills, being able to juggle lots of things at once, those sorts of things definitely come in handy for a lot of jobs, but I just think for the amount of time, effort and money it's cost me, I'm not sure it's completely worth it. That doesn't mean to say that nobody should go and study a degree, because for many areas, you need a degree to get into it. I just think that a lot of us have the wrong mindset, thinking that if we've got goodish grades, sort of B and above, then you're almost pushed onto, well, what university course are you going to study when you're at school? That's the next natural step. Jumping straight into a job is seen, or was definitely seen when I was at school, as something that people do if they don't have the best grades. It wasn't something that you should do. You should go to university. That should be the next thing that you aim for. Everybody should aim to get good grades and aim to go to university. But I'm not sure that that's actually the best thing for us to have done. Again, if you go into a career that requires a degree, and there are plenty of them out there, then of course it's the right thing for you to do. But to just be pushed into, well, you should go to university because you're smart, I don't think that's overly helpful. I don't think it has actually helped me that much more, being able to figure out what I want to do with my life, get into a specific job role. I'm not sure I'm any better off having a degree than if I didn't have one. I'm not sure if I'd have been better off, like I said, doing some kind of apprenticeship, because I could have at least at a younger age tried to figure out what job role I wanted to be in, done an apprenticeship for a year or two, decided, no, I don't like that area of work, and then I'd have been either higher up the ladder if I did enjoy it, or at least have a more narrow idea of what I do want to do, rather than starting that process at 21 with the stress of, I've got to earn at least 21,000 a year because that's what they expect me to earn with a degree. That's the minimum before you start paying your student loans back. And if I don't hit 21 grand a year, then I'm a failure. Then I have wasted those 3 years of my life. I think having that attitude can be quite difficult, because if you don't figure out exactly what you want to do with your life when you come out from having a degree, then of course you're going to be jumping around in different entry-level positions. You might get slightly higher up the ladder because you have a degree and you have a bit of experience. If you're not sticking in one specific career area, then you're going to keep dropping your salary back down again to start in a new area, work your way up, decide if you like it. If not, you'll move on to another area, back to that entry-level position. And there's sort of a underlying concern that means you're failing in life because you're not earning the salary that you think you should be on. You're told it's 21,000 a year to pay back your student loan, therefore you expect to leave university and jump into a career on 21 grand a year at least. And that's not always the case. For one reason, there are loads of graduates out there, and a lot of different jobs don't require a specific degree. They just want you to have a degree. So you're competing against all of these people doing loads of different university courses. You're in the same boat as they are, trying to get this one job role. So you might not get it, you might realise you don't want to do it, and then you've got to jump into a lower paid job while you try and figure it out. I found that a lot of people who've got degrees are working in service jobs or hospitality jobs or retail because they just want to earn some money while they figure out what exactly they want to do with their life. And it confuses me slightly that we pay so much for a degree, but we don't actually get the information we need to decide what course we want to do, to decide what career path we want to go on afterwards. I guess they assume that when you've picked this degree, that's the area you're going to go into, but you might not like it. Because I know with my criminology degree, I could have done a fast track to become a police officer, I could have looked into becoming a solicitor, but a lot of the solicitor and lawyer areas would much rather me have a law degree. But I wasn't interested in law. I was interested in understanding why people do the things they do, specifically why criminals choose to commit those crimes. Has something led to it? Is it their DNA? Were they born with it? Is it the nature side? Or is it they're part of their upbringing or the environment they're in, where they live, the people they surround themselves with, that sort of thing, the nurture side? It was that. And it was only whilst I was most of the way through my degree that I realised actually it's the psychological aspect I'm interested in. So then should I have done a psychology degree? But I don't want to become a therapist. It's like all these degrees seem to have this one or two areas they point towards. What if you're massively interested in the subject, but you don't want to do the job you're supposed to do when you come out? Does that make you a failure as well? Does that mean that you've wasted 3 years of your life and £50,000-60,000 that could have been invested in something else? I think it's a a really difficult topic to think about, of all these people that have done degrees coming out not getting the job they want because there's so many other competition, or realising that it's not for them, it's not what they thought it was, not being able to find a job in the first place, ending up doing something that they don't think they should be doing because they've got a degree, they're more qualified than everybody else. I'm sure many of them get told you're too overqualified for this job because they assume that we're going to up and leave as soon as we get another opportunity, whether that's true or not. But we do have this mindset that I should be doing something better with my life because I have a degree. And I'm not sure if that's actually helpful. I'm not sure if it benefits us, always having this, but you should be higher than what you're on now, but you should be in a better position. You've wasted your time. You're not in a career area that's based on your degree. You're not doing what you were supposed to be doing with your degree. You've wasted your time. I know it's something that I've battled with a lot, thinking that I shouldn't be where I am now. I should be some wonderful high up ranking detective or whatever, just because that was what I was supposed to do with my degree. Whether or not it makes me happy, that doesn't seem to come into it as much. I should be doing this path because that's what my degree was supposed to lead me towards. Never mind that they were doing cuts when I tried to apply in the police force. That is the role that I should be doing. And anything else I do that isn't earning me at least 21,000 or isn't a degree graduate level job, then I'm wasting my time. That's not overly helpful, because the people that have left school at 16 or 18 just jumped straight in to a job, they expect to be at the bottom. They expect to be in those trainee junior levels. They don't expect to be earning any more than 12, 13, 14 grand a year or whatever. That's fine for them. They don't have that pressure. They expect to be on that level because they've only just left school. They don't have the experience. So then they're happy to just work their way up the ladder. And they're okay with whatever salary they're on because they don't have this, but I've done a degree, I should be on more mindset. And it just makes me wonder sometimes, would I have been better off? Would I have had more of a head start? Or would my mindset at least be different if I hadn't have done a degree? I don't regret doing the degree itself. It's just the things it's brought along with it. The mindset, like I've mentioned, that I should be doing X, Y, and Z because I have a degree. I should be in a better position. I should be earning more money. I should be whatever because I have a degree. That the people that just leave school and just start work maybe don't necessarily have that mindset, so it might actually give them a bit of a leg up because they're just happy with what they've got. They're happy with the position they're in. They're happy to just keep working higher and higher, and they don't have this push all the time telling them they need to be doing more. So they might actually end up in a better position because they're not feeling, I can't stay in this job role because I should be in a higher position somewhere else. It's not using the skills I've gained from university, therefore I can't stay in it. Whether or not it makes them happy, whether or not it can lead to what they actually want to be doing. People that have had degrees might not be okay with just doing that. I just wonder if it's something that other people have noticed, that if they have a degree, they do have a bit of that mindset of, I shouldn't be where I am, I should be here. I should have started 5 steps up the ladder than someone who just left school at 16 or 18. And then I should therefore always stay those 5 steps above them. Whereas that's not actually always the case. And I wonder if that pressure leads to any problems, can lead to them not pursuing a job that they might really enjoy doing because they don't feel like they should be doing it. It doesn't use the skills they've paid for in their time and their energy and their money. So they stick with something they don't enjoy, or they just spend forever beating themselves up thinking they should be doing more with their life. Which, as I've said, is something that I've definitely had a lot of myself. That I should be over here, I should be doing this, I should be doing something better than what I am. Regardless of the fact that what I should be doing wouldn't actually make me happy. I've decided that that area isn't for me. I'm trying to figure out what area is for me. What area would I enjoy? I definitely love the psychology area. And again, I wonder if I didn't do a degree at the age of 18, figuring out now that I love psychology, would I do a psychology degree? It wasn't really something we learnt much in school. I did it for A-level, but I didn't really know much about it. We didn't go into the depths of what psychology can actually teach. But then I think, well, I can't waste another 3 years of my life doing another degree. I can't waste more time doing a master's, because what have I got from my degree? If I do a master's, that's another year or two gone. And what am I going to get from that? So then why would I want to spend any more time studying for it? Maybe I can just do some courses or get some books and just look it up in my free time. And I wonder if that would have made more sense for me to do with criminology for me, to just get some of the books and just learn what I was interested in, rather than focusing on a degree, just picking out the parts that I loved, because there was lots of it that I didn't enjoy at all, but there were lots of parts that I did. So if I could have just cherry-picked the bits I did enjoy and did want to learn more about, maybe that would have been more helpful to me. But yeah, it's just an interesting thought of, is it something that needs to be thought of a little bit more for the people that are 16, 17 years old, thinking about looking into a university course, that don't think that you've got to use your degree. It's something you'll naturally research when you leave university and realise you're not using your degree. You'll naturally look it up and see, oh, there's lots of skills I can use. Oh, it's okay if I don't use my degree. I can switch to other things in different areas. But for people before they start getting a degree, before they start on that process of applying to university, to understand that it's okay if you don't use it. It's okay if you start it and decide it's not for you. It's okay if you do the course and then realise you want to work in a different area, or the job you really want to do doesn't use the skills you've gained. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I wonder if it would be a little bit more helpful if people knew that. And also for the ones in their second and third year of university, knowing that it doesn't matter if you don't get a job that doesn't use the degree you've got. It's okay. You don't have to be earning $21,000 a year. I know that's the minimum they say for paying back your student loan, but that doesn't mean that if you don't earn that, you've failed. No matter what degree you've come out with, whether you've got a first, a 2-2, a third, whatever. It's not a bad thing if you haven't got that income. The main thing to be focused on is understanding who you are and what you're interested in. The degree should really open your eyes to see more about a subject that hopefully you're passionate about, hopefully you have a massive interest in. I have a massive interest in criminology. That's never going to change for me, and I love that I've been able to learn a lot about it, that it's not something I could have done any other way besides doing a degree to get to the depths that I did. So I'm very thankful for being able to do that, but that doesn't mean that it was a waste if I'm not doing a career that involves it. I learned a lot and I'm happy with what I learned. I'm happy that I know a lot more about the subject that I could have done from finding random courses online. They wouldn't go anywhere near into the depth that I went into. Just the main thing to take away is that it's not a bad thing if you don't use your degree. And it's not a bad thing if you don't go to university in the first place. Have a proper think about it. Is it really something you need to do? Don't just think that this is where I need to go, it's the next natural step to take. Not necessarily. If you're going into a career, or you're aiming to go into a career that needs a degree, you want to become a doctor or a lawyer or something that requires that extra level of education, then by all means do that. But there are also other ways. You can just start at a trainee or junior position and work your way up. And you're not losing much if you decide when you're in that trainee position that it's not for you. You want to switch to another career path. It's not the end of the world. So it just would be nice to be able to think about it a little bit more. Is this the path I want to take? Rather than taking it, coming out the other side and expecting to jump into a career and that to not be the case. It used to be, but so many people do degrees nowadays that it's a lot more difficult. And with the range of degrees available, some are better than others, some are harder to do than others, some are easier. So it's not as simple as, I've got a degree, therefore everybody's going to be lining up trying to offer jobs to me. It should just be another part of your adventure of discovering yourself, of figuring out who you are and what you want, what you're interested in, what you're passionate about, what you love doing and what you don't like doing. It's something more you can learn about yourself. So if you've done a degree and you're not happy with where you are in life, you've learnt a lot about yourself. Even if you've decided you hate your degree and you want nothing more to do with it, it's something else you've discovered about yourself. If you love the topic area but you don't necessarily want to go into a job role based around that topic area, then that's fine too. It's something you can do in your extra time, something you can read books about or research more on or talk to people who are interested in it too. And if it is something you're massively interested in and you've got a career that you want to do that's in that area, then that's brilliant. But yeah, it's just important to make sure that you don't beat yourself up whichever you've chosen. Don't think that I must do a degree because I've got good grades that can get me into university, therefore that's where I should go. And also don't feel bad if you haven't got a degree. It's something you can do at any time. There's all these different courses you can do online, and a good thing I guess that's come out of the pandemic is a lot of them are distant. A lot of them you can do over the internet. You don't even need to go somewhere and do a degree or go somewhere and do a course. It just, whatever happens, you've learnt and discovered more about yourself. Whether that's something you want to do, something you don't want to do, you've learnt more about who you are and what you like. That's the important thing to take away. Not so much what salary you're on with your degree you've done or what career path you were supposed to do and whether what you're doing matches up to it. It's just you've learnt more about who you are. You've learnt more about what you enjoy. That's the thing that matters most, I think. Anyway, I just thought I'd share my thoughts with you. I hope it was interesting. As always, thank you for your time.